So these guys are in jail. They're Phoenix rasboras. I got them for this 5-gallon tank, but they were terrorizing my snails. They were eating their little antennae. I think they thought they were worms or something. So, if you remember from my last video, I had this vase that was killing shrimp, which is why I made that tank in the first place. So today I'm gonna take this apart and make a new vase so that these guys have a place to live until I return them to the pet store, because I don't want them in this tank anymore. Because even though they were leaving my shrimp alone, I don't think my shrimp were very happy either with them. So, oops. Hi everyone, my name's Rebecca and I make beautiful things. With this video I decided to do a voiceover, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna talk about the background of this tank and what I'm doing, and the tank, the 5-gallon that I made in my last video. I alluded to it a little bit, but none of them have any filters. They do have heaters because the fish need a constant temperature that's a little higher than the room they're in. But if you had a room that was temperature controlled to kind of 75 degrees to 80, then you wouldn't even need a heater with these guys, which is something that I really like. I don't like the look of things coming out of the tank, so when I did some research a couple years ago and realized that you could actually create tiny little ecosystems in fish tanks that worked the way nature intended, where you have enough plants, the plants are growing from whatever media you planted them in, either dirt. You can actually use just normal topsoil for these. You don't need to have the special ADA aqua soil like I have. And actually I think dirt works better, so in my next tank I think that's what I'm going to use. And yeah, so the plants can use the dirt, they can use whatever lights you have with them, and even the waste from the fish, from whatever animals, aquatic animals you have in your tank, feed the plants, and in turn the plants filter the water for you and make it so that it's an environment that fish can thrive in. And it's just a more natural way of doing it. You don't actually need a filter at all if you have enough plants. And once I learned that, I just never went back. This is how I do fish tanks now. And I have testing tubes like you saw in my last video, and my levels are always perfect. You have enough plants and your levels are perfect, because you almost never have to go through the cycling process. Normally, the quote-unquote traditional way you do fish tanks is you cycle the fish tank. So you have to either use ammonia that you add to the fish tank, or you can do a fish-in cycle where you use the ammonia produced by the fish, a hardy fish obviously, to start the cycle. And so as the ammonia goes up, the bacteria, beneficial bacteria in the tank that eat ammonia, they go up as well, and they convert that ammonia to nitrite. And then you need a completely different type of bacteria that convert that nitrite to nitrate. And that's the cycle. And once you've got enough bacteria for the amount of fish you want in your tank, then your tank is cycled. With the planted tank method, there's lots of different types. It's kind of like either the Walstad method or the Tombar method, either one. It's basically just what nature does. The plants they eat all of the ammonia and all the waste to grow, and so you don't even go through the cycling process if you have enough plants. And then, of course, if you start stocking the tank with more fish than the plants can handle, bacteria does grow. And you do kind of have a mix of plants and cycling together. And it's really cool to see a tank go, like, it means that if you plant enough, you can stock your tank lightly, of course, not with like massive amounts of fish, but you can stock them right away, which is just so much better than waiting a whole month for your fish tank to be ready for fish. And in my opinion, they're just so beautiful. There's so much you can do with hardscape, with so many different plants. And this is all low tech. Low tech meaning that there's no CO2 or fertilizers added to help the plants grow, but you can do that as well. So yeah, it's just, I love systems. My opinion of aquariums and terrariums and basically anything is, if you have to do a ton of maintenance, then the system is a bad system. You're doing it wrong. If you look in nature, that's not something you need to worry about. There's so many systems in place in nature that deal with everything you could think of. I have some terrariums. I have a snake, and he lives in a bioactive terrarium with pill bugs and millipedes, and they deal with all of his they deal with his shed, they deal with his little poops. If I feed him a mouse and the mouse, he just doesn't want to eat it for whatever reason, I don't have to worry about taking the mouse out of his tank, because this is frozen thawed, by the way, because the cleanup crew, as they're called, will just eat the mouse, and within a couple days the mouse is gone. And this is kind of morbid, but when he dies, I don't know that I'll even notice right away. And I'll probably notice because the cleanup crew will start to eat him, basically, which sounds horrible, but it's the way it's supposed to be. His body will be put back into his terrarium in a beautiful cycle of life. And it's just, when we take nature, what's naturally happening, and we can use it in our terrariums and our aquariums, everything is just so much better, in my opinion. So anyway, getting back to the video, that's what I did. So this little vase has just got a bunch of low light, super hardy plants that I took from this tank, and the fish are fine, the fish are good, and as you can see, my shrimp are doing really well without a filter with this planted tank. They look so much happier now that the fish are gone. Swimming around. Haven't had any babies yet, but I'm hoping to get some more shrimp soon and hopefully have some babies. The snails are doing so much better. This guy is on the glass here. I don't know if you can tell, but oh, there's a baby. They were nipping at their antennae, so I'm glad they're safe now. So yeah, that was just a rambling little video of mine. I hope you learned something. Definitely research planted tanks, Walstad tanks, if you're interested in ecosystems for your aquariums and your terrariums. But yeah, thanks for watching. Bye!